I've never thought I'll be a teacher, like not in a million years. I was a software engineer in Mumbai and everything went according to plan until I got to Isha. I came for Bhava Spandana program and it was so intense. My logical brain was not able to like really explain what it is. I was like super high. I felt high. 8 years ago, Mahashivratri night, I was somewhere far off watching Sadhguru. He was walking on the aisle and the chant was playing. Yogeshwaraya Mahadevaya. And that chant for me was just very intense. I started crying and it was just weird, you know. I was crying for no reason for the first time. I was in the train thinking like, what if I miss my flight? What if I miss my flight? In that train journey is when I decided I'm coming back for Mahashivratri and that also I'm going to quit my job. I know this is extreme. Namaskaram. My name is Sravani. I'm a Hatha Yoga teacher from Isha Foundation, Sadhguru Gurukulam. I've been teaching full-time for a little over 7 years now and I've never thought I'll be a teacher, like not in a million years. I was a software engineer in Mumbai until 2016 when I came across Isha, and I just came here, you know, to check out how the ashram is, nothing more than that. In fact, I've never done yoga in my whole life. It's I went to yoga classes in my village only for the prasadam, nothing more than that. I would just eat raw food at the end, and okay, I enjoyed raw food, but that's my strongest connection to yoga or spirituality growing up. So when I came across Sadhguru, the only reason I did his program was I saw him on a bike and I was really impressed. He looked super badass. And I was into sports, like I was a sports geek at that time, and I just was very impressed, and I went to the inner engineering program, and to be very honest, I really was not impressed with the program at that time, because for me, the kind of mindset I was in, I was very logical, and when I watched his video on YouTube, it was very logical. Then I go to inner engineering and I felt like Sadhguru was repeating the same point for like so long, and I'm like, okay Sadhguru, come on, I got the point, move on. But to be honest, like looking back, I did not get the point, and he's probably saying these points just for like people like me, so you know, I get it, like a little more knock on my head. But at that time, I just like finished the program just because I anyway paid for it, and I came back home and I would practice it maybe like 2 to 3 times a week when I feel like it. I really didn't give much importance to it, but somehow things started happening way more magically. Anyway, I was happy in that period in my life, but like I would plan a solo trip and somehow it would magically become this like one of my best trips in my life. Things started happening like that, and I thought things are happening because I was awesome. You know, how would you connect all these things to a 21-minute practice you're doing, which is a physical practice in my understanding? I didn't realize how it is impacting me at that time. But again, I didn't pay much attention to that. I just, you know, was happy. Anyway, things are happening magically, so I was having a lot more fun. And I ended up coming to Isha a few months later because one of my friends told me the ashram is very beautiful and there's a lot of hikes around, and I was a hiker, so I wanted to go on the 7th hill, you know, come do this other program in Isha because it was also recommended to me. And I was like, okay, anyway, I'm going, I'll give it a try, why not? I get to stay in ashram for that period. So I made this huge plan. Like I went to Auroville, did my half marathon. This was exactly 8 years ago. For last 8 years ago, February, and then I visited my family. Then I came to ashram to do my Bhava Spandana program. Then the plan was to go hike and then go to Kerala for a short solo trip and then fly from there back to my work. And everything went according to plan until I got to Isha. I came for Bhava Spandana program and it was so intense. For me, like whatever I missed in inner engineering, Bhava Spandana was more experiential. Bhava Spandana is a intense meditative program done in a very controlled environment. And for me, it was new. Like the things I'm experiencing, it's very hard to explain. Like even if I explain, it won't make any sense. It's just you have to experience this. Even if someone came and told me, I would have just dismissed it. But I'm having these emotions and experiences which I was not able to put my finger on. My logical brain was not able to like really explain what it is. So I was like super high. I felt high. And then I come out of this 3-day program and suddenly I was confused. Like, what is it that I was experiencing, and suddenly I was high and I'm not anymore. So I kind of felt depressed too in a way. So I thought, okay, let me just stay back here a few more days. Anyway, I had this hike planned and my Kerala tour. So I thought, okay, I'll skip all that and then I'll just continue staying in ashram for some time. And I ended up staying here for another week before my flight from Kochi. And that 1 week was also just magical. I've like not once volunteered in my life. So volunteering itself, like doing something, not expecting anything, just like created this new emotions and feelings within me, and I was like, wow, this feels nice, and all the people here were like super nice, and I was just still confused, like, why is this place so awesome, like, and what is it that I'm feeling? I couldn't put my finger on it still. But it was almost time to leave, and everybody who I'm volunteering with was like, are you leaving right before Mahashivratri? And Mahashivratri was like in 3 weeks. And they kept repeating that. I was like, oh my God, I'm already struggling to leave. Can you please stop? But I told myself, like, don't sit in some ashram and then make these decisions. So I just decided to go. So I had to take a train to Kerala and then catch my flight from there to Mumbai. I started packing my bag. The train was in few hours, and I started packing it really slow, so I missed my bus. And I went to the bus station late, and I missed my bus. So I was like, okay, maybe I missed my bus, I can stay back for Mahashivratri. And then someone else also missed the bus. They're like, do you want to share a cab? I was like, fine. So I ended up sharing a cab to the train station. So I caught my train. So I got in my train, and it was maybe 2-3 hour journey to Kerala. And I was in the train thinking, like, what if I miss my flight? What if I miss my flight? And that's when it really struck me. Oh my God, you really don't want to go. It's like, okay, then decision made. Don't go. No one's going to stop you. So in that train journey is when I decided I'm coming back for Mahashivratri, and that also I'm going to quit my job. I know this is extreme, but I've already been contemplating what else do I want to do with my life by that point. I just couldn't take a decision. But in that train journey, I realized, I can't sit in a job and then look for what I want to do. I just need to step out and then look for what I want to do. I still didn't know what I want to do, but I knew I'll be okay. So I just decided to quit my job, and yeah, I went to Kerala. I never made it to airport, so obviously I missed my flight. I just came back the next day to ashram and stayed back for Mahashivratri. And that was... It's just very emotional thinking back, because it was same period, Mahashivratri was last night. I was listening to Sadhguru and reminiscing upon 8 years ago. I remember 8 years ago, Mahashivratri night, I was somewhere far off watching Sadhguru. He was walking on the aisle, and the chant was playing. And I'm new to chanting also, and I heard this chant, Yogeshwaraya Mahadevaya. And that chant for me was just very intense. I started crying, and it was just weird, I was crying for no reason for the first time. And it's just like my brain was outside me looking at me like, why are you crying? What's going on? Like, are you sad? Are you happy? And I was like, no. And that is the first time in my life I've experienced this emotion, ecstasy. That's a new feeling blossomed in me that night, and that is the moment I realized this place has something more than I can really put my finger on. So I have to spend more time here. I don't know how, I'm going to. And I went back to work, spent 3 months giving notice, and then I just ended up here for teacher training. Not because I wanted to be a teacher, but that was the only longest program. There was no sadhana bhada back then. So I just ended up at teacher training, just jumped into it, and it was one of the best decisions I've made in my life, because I think all my logical brain got dismantled. I still think logically, but I do believe in magic beyond my logical brain, because there's so much in this nature, in this world, that how can you explain everything logically? But it's okay to be logical, but if you're like just so stuck on it, how will you really experience the magic? I feel every day my life has been so magical since I've dismantled that. I've opened up to more possibilities for myself. Things happen to me, I don't know how, all because I don't have that anymore. And like doing teacher training, going through intense sadhana for 6 months, like just opened me up, helped me perceive more. And I attribute all of that to Hatha Yoga practices, because, like I said, I've never done yoga in my life. And these are not something, something for your flexibility. That comes, flexibility comes, your back pains go, all of that is fine. But there's a lot more than that. Like, to be simply put, if you're like an antenna and you're not aligned, the picture won't come on the TV. It's just you're being aligned a little bit, so you just receive the magic of the world. And it's been like that for me. I've been experiencing all the consecrated spaces here way more powerfully, and the yoga has like transformed my life beyond what I can even imagine. And see, all these words, if my younger self was listening, I would be like, psh, I would have dismissed myself. But it's my own experience, so I cannot dismiss. So all I can tell you, for someone who is trying to do yoga or been doing Western yoga, is it's not a physical practice. It can be a physical practice, but it's much more than that. So I want you to try, classical forms of yoga. I'm sure there are other classical forms of yoga out there. I just don't know. I found my path, and you don't need to step one here and not get anywhere. Just find something, that works for you. For me, classical Hatha Yoga, which is being offered at Isha Foundation with Sadhguru Gurukulam, has just worked wonders, and worked wonders for all my students, like I was sharing. So I'm not looking for anything more, but rather deepening my practice and offering these tools. So if you're looking to do yoga, just please come for a class, like try it, and try it for maybe 2-3 months and see how it works for you. If it doesn't work, fine, like throw it. But as long as it works, give it a good try and see how it impacts you. And I strongly believe if you give it a good chance, like you will go deeper, just like I did. I hope you can really relate to this once you try the practices. And yeah, just thanks for listening to my story.
Namaskaram, Akka.
Namaskaram.
Thank you.